In this video, we'll be talking about some of the trig identities. Press pause to copy these in your notes. When you're ready to continue, press play. Now, just looking at some of these, we know that tangent is defined as y over x. So we could divide top and bottom of this fraction by r and get tangent theta equals y over r divided by x over r. And now you can see that this ratio is my sine theta ratio, and this ratio is my cosine theta. So that's just a little proof, and you would do the same thing for cotangent if you needed to. Alright, on our Pythagorean identities, we can look at our reference triangle. If theta is there in the reference angle, this is my x and this is my y and this is r, the hypotenuse is r. We know that the Pythagorean theorem tells us that x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Now again, we'll approach this very much like we did this one up here. I would like to get it to the point where it says sine squared and cosine squared. So this one I'm going to divide by r squared, divide by r squared, and divide by r squared. And so we see then x squared over r squared, I could write that as x over r quantity squared. Same way for this one, y over r quantity squared. And then r squared over r squared is 1. So this is my cosine squared theta. And this one is my sine squared theta equals 1. So then we know that the sum of these two squares is equal to 1. That gives us this. Now, if you're like me, you don't like memorizing any more than you need to, so for sure memorize this first one, sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. You can easily develop that to get these other two. Let me show you how that can be done. Sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Now let's say you want an identity that involves tangent. That'll be the second one. Then you want sine squared over cosine squared, so you can divide every term by cosine squared, and that'll give you your tangent squared, plus, and then cosine squared divided by cosine squared is 1, equals, and then this is a reciprocal function, so secant squared. So we easily and quickly develop this second identity. Now let's again start with sine squared plus cosine squared equal 1. And let's say this time we want an identity that involves cotangent. Well, we know cotangent is the same as cosine over sine. So I'm going to need to divide every term by sine squared, because I need cotangent squared. So divide everything by sine squared. And that gives me my cotangent squared theta. And then sine squared divided by sine squared is 1, And then 1 divided by sine squared is cosecant squared. So this gives me my third identity. Now we know that addition is commutative, so it doesn't matter what order here.